So if you look at the Indian IT in the broader perspective, many of the service organizations work in the distributed mode because the customer sits somewhere in US, in Australia, or some other countries. So by definition, whether you are working in the waterfall or it's a agile environment, you will be working in the distributed mode most of the times. So the culture you get to see here is basically working using electronic tools. So by default, and if anybody is working on anything, whether on any project, so they will be asking like what kind of tool you are using, and that seems like the way people work here. But that means even if the people are working co-located way, the the culture of electronic tools really overpower the simplicity which is provided by information radiators or the scrum boards. So I was using electronic tools for a long time. I'm talking about till 2010-11, and then I got a chance to move to Australia, and that's where things really changed. And what you could see is that in the whole organization, there were card walls and card walls and card walls, information radiators, and this was the very different environment. So that's where I got a curiosity, like what all can be done as part of physical information radiators and how they can be used. Again, whatever I'm going to use here are certain practices which is being used across the world. So so the things which I'm going to show here are not mine, but I have taken the references from different websites, and some of the things are from from my pictures as well. So with that background, let's start this session. So if you look at the information, electronic information, it's like a fridge. So in order to get an access, you have to open the fridge, and then only you know what all things are there, and based on your information, you can find the information you want. It can be easier for the person who is using a fridge for a long time. For example, the person who is working in this project. But for example, somebody else come and he want to take a look on what you're working on, and just part of the curiosity, just part of the transparency, and then he has no clue. So information may be hiding somewhere with the passwords and all that. So that is what electronic tools are all about. So they may be sitting somewhere, and you can find the information only when you want. They may not be there all the time in front of you, forcing you to think about them. So compared to take a look on the physical walls. So if you see the physical walls, you find the information radiators in which you can immediately know what is going on in this project, plus where are the troubles, and that forces people to think what all they can do for fixing those issues. Another important thing about the physical walls is that they are very simple. So you can start pretty simple here, and it's all dependent on your own thinking and the innovations, what all you can do in the physical walls. So what the name the feature, and you can do those features on the physical walls. And some of the things you cannot be ever done by the electronic tools. So electronic tools have their their capabilities, but they have their own limitations as well. And beyond that limitation, you can't do much. Versus physical walls, whatever you want, and you can do that. Another thing which I have seen in many organizations and others, or some of the teams, what they have started doing is that depending on the tool people are using, they started defining their process, and that doesn't really sound right. So for example, Jira has those many features. So what all features we can use in our project, versus what are our needs as part of our project, minimalistic needs, and can we do in a very simple way. And based on that, you can find which tool needs to be used, whether it's a card wall, or in case you are working in distributed mode, it is an Excel sheet, or Trello, or whatever. So depending on, instead of looking at the tool and then trying to define the process or workflow around that, it is important to really define the needs and then see like what tools can fulfill those needs. So moving forward, let's try to see the board hacks which we have seen in different parts of the world. But before that, I think it is pretty simple or understood that the information radiators provide a kind of transparent environment. They provide a place where people can have a discussion about the cards, and information are really visible at any point of time. So if you look at this hack, what you find is that apart from the information of the user story, you find when this particular card was basically uh, given to the development and then part of the testing. So dates have been mentioned, and apart from that, you see like who is working on it, and plus whether this particular card uh, is important or not, based on the red sign. So so whatever you see, the information, they are minimalistic information, but based on what you want to put, you can change this card based on your needs. So this was a thing which basically I put on the LinkedIn. As I have been part of the development team, I have been part of the development team where we were forced to put the log the hours. And we used to think that maybe logging hours should be helping somewhere, but we never found like where it really helped. So, but at the same time, it was a kind of discipline issue. Like you have to log the hours, and if you're not logging the hours, maybe something somewhere going wrong or something like that. So then another thing is that about this burn down chart. So burn down charts are based on the story points, and sometimes the stories are big, and at that point of time, you don't really know like what is really going on in the team or not. So if you look at the both of these scenarios, whether the burn down chart or burn down chart based on the hours, the thing which people are looking at is, are we going to make it in the sprint? Are we moving in the right speed or not? Are there any impediments? But even if we are using all these burn down charts and hourly burn down charts, what we have observed is that the issues crop up at the very late in the sprint, and before that nobody knows what's going on. If so this is a very simple way to identify whether the sprint is going in the right way or right path or not. So if you see on the left hand side, it is red. On the right hand side is blue. If it is, if so, as part of the stand up, people are asked to put their uh, their mark on this line. And if you think that you are going to make it, then you are going to towards blue. Otherwise, you go towards the red. So initially, in the initial days, it looks like everything is going fine. One person is still saying that maybe we're not going to make it. And then after Wednesday or Thursday, you find many people are going towards the red. So so that basically brings a kind of discussion. What is going on, and what is the problem because of which people are going towards a red zone? And then the team has a discussion. So what are the impediments? And if there are impediments, how can we fix them? And after fixing the impediments, it looks like we are again going back towards blue track. So instead of basically just getting the data and still having no idea whether we are going to make it or not, with this way, based on the feeling or the gut feeling of the team members, you understand if there are problems or not. And if there are problems, instead of as part of the team, you basically look at the problem and fix them as a team. So that way, this is a very powerful tool, and people use it in certain companies. So this is about the cycle time. So even though you have started working on a card, how much time it is going to take is taking. So so that really is important as part of the Kanban, but I generally feel that it is important for anything, whether it's a Scrum or Kanban, both. Because what you want to see is that whatever you have started should be finished first, instead of you start a lot of cards and do nothing about on them. So it's all about stop starting and start finishing. And with the cycle time, you see, based on the iteration to iteration, are you able to reduce the cycle time or not? Or it is same, or it is increasing, and based on the trends you try to do some fixed work. So here, with the dots, you find so dots means days here. Depending on the color, it can be the development, it can be the testing, it can be deployment. So depending on whose column it is, this can be changed. So based on the cycle time, what we see here, we can get the average based on number of cards we have. So for example, over here, you see the story point of one size can be finished within 1.8 days. And it has been considered based on the 36 cards. Similarly, for the bugs, definitely bugs should not be considered as part of the story points. But you see other things like 3 points card is finished in 5 days. So you kind of get some kind of understanding how many days a particular card really takes. So again, we are not trying to map the story point with the days implicitly, but we are trying to see like how much average time it really takes, which is really helpful. So this is another hack, which is about release readiness. So there can be multiple things as part of the release, which you want to finish to make sure that it is ready for the release. So for example, you need to write the release notes, some kind of load testing, regression testing, story level testing. So there are a lot of things which you try to do as part of release readiness, and you put those cards and see where you are on where you are on those cards. If you are able to make it, then you are going to the right direction. Otherwise, they remind you all the time where you are on those cards. Why we have put them as part of one single lane? uh, just because certain things may be finished in different iterations. So for entire release, you have certain cards and you see like where we are on them. Fine. So this is a another hack which was used in Australia Bankwest. So at that point of time, there was the organization was not allowing people to uh, to put anything on the wall. So people tried their innovative ways and then found that they can use a shower curtain, so in which they can put their cards. And by the time you go to the home, then you pack this shower curtain in. You can put, and also the beauty of the shower curtain is that you can take it anywhere. So in case you want to have a discussion about the cards, uh, and then you can take it as a whole in the meeting room, and where so it is transportable, and you can use it at any point of time or anywhere. And by the time you go to your home, then you can pack it and uh, put it in your locker. So this was used because the building authorities were not allowing to put anything on the wall. Fine. This was on this. This was one of the. This is useful when you are trying to see whether you would like to have a card on a technical debt in the backlog or not. So uh, my understanding about the technical debt is that whatever you're trying to do should have some business value. So if the whatever you're trying to solve, with that you're going to remove some pain point, then it will be useful. So you see the effort versus pain, and this is a kind of graph you see based on these cards. So if the effort is huge and the pain is less, then you are not going to do it. In case the effort is less and the pain is high, then it is of the high return cards, and you can take them as part of your sprint. Fine. Definition of ready. So actually this particular picture we have been using in most of the projects right now. So with this you see that a roadmap of next 3 sprints. So iteration plus 1, iteration plus 2, iteration plus 3, under analysis, and then ready to play. People even remove this whole column of analysis. Fine. But the point is that as you move from iteration plus 3 to iteration plus 1, the amount of clarity on the card needs to improve. Okay. So initially you may say that this particular card will be used, uh, and but basically you put the card on the iteration plus 3 here, but the information may be very less. Actually, I'm not sure who is really doing these marks over here. Can you please stop it? So as you move towards iteration plus 3 to iteration plus 1, the amount of information on the card really improves, and then you move towards ready to play. Fine. So this can be used in even in electronic tools. We have used that in Jira as well. But on the wall, it is pretty informative, like what all cards are going to come in the next 3 sprints. This is anti-pattern, which I took as a picture in one of the team. What they did was, instead of defining the work for the team, they started defining the work for the individuals, and that's what you see, uh, and which is not really useful from agile perspective, agile team perspective. This hack is also pretty useful. So elevator pitch is all about, uh, just a moment. So okay, so elevator pitch is all about giving you information within 2 minutes. Uh, Also, basically, the time you take from ground floor to top floor, that in that time you should be able to explain what your project really does. So that's what it has been mentioned over here. So for brokers, advisors, and their clients who want their system supportability. So basically, with for who, the project name, what it will do as a project, that will provide. So with this information, uh, which is captured over here, you are able to give entire information about the project, which a person wants to know as and when he enters in the team room. So this is a very powerful approach in which you give the elevator pitch for your project. So this we used as part of the team calendar. So in case we want to see like who is coming on what days and if somebody is on holidays, so this team calendar was put on the card wall, and anybody should be able to put their days over there, and with that we could see the availability of each team member at any point of time instead of looking at some calendar some hidden somewhere. So this was a picture of a team, or and they were not really using as agile, but they were using information radiators. So with this, you can see, if you that the mood of the people, mood, stress, capacity, and in case they are going towards the sad sign, then you have to take some action and see like what is happening for those people. So this was pretty useful to know the mood of the team at any point of time, and depending on how people are feeling, the leaders could take actions. So most of the times we see that finished sprint is finished. So what do we do about those cards? So what you can do is you can create a done card symmetry, uh, and you may ask how it is useful. So the usefulness is that it provides a lot of data. So you see that there are some red cards over here in some sprints. With that, you get to know there were some defects in the application. So based on that, you try to see, you can analyze why those defects were there during those sprints, and did we take some corrective actions or not. So it gives you kind of trend. So you see the drive defects are increasing from iteration to iteration. In the final sprint, the defects are more. So with this trend, you need to see, you can see whether you want to take some action or not. So the point is that done card symmetry gives you some data points in case you want to do postmortem of what really happened in the past. So this we try to use in one of the team where we wanted to know whether we are spending a lot of time in the stand up or not. So we created a chart for the entire week, and then and then we try to put the graph for the time it is taking for every day. So in case it is going beyond 15 minutes, then we had to see if we could take some corrective action or not. So I'm not really a finicky person around the time it takes to do the stand up, at least during the initial sprints, because in the initial sprints, there may be a lot of points to be discussed, and people want to know a lot of information, and that's where people spend a lot of time over there. But definitely, as you move towards the sprints further, that time should decrease. That is the first point. And definitely, if there are discussion points, then that they should be taken out of the stand up, instead of having a discussion with everybody, which really wastes a lot of time for everybody in the team. So that's the reason basically we put this kind of chart. So the team was already in a good progress mode, and still they were taking a lot of time. So we use this chart, and with that, we could see like it was taking how much time or not, and then it was really helpful. So with that, this is all about for this session. In case there are questions, I'm here to answer them. Any questions?
I'm curious what performance you noticed increase or improve with the use of these different charts.
So it used to give us the indicator. I mean, how we are basically working as a team in terms of stand-ups, or so based on that information, it was visible to everybody, and then we could take those corrective actions. So one is like nobody is taking those notes, and one is that information is visible to everybody at any point of time. So it was really helpful. So I hope you are asking about the stand-up.
And I was asking how did the use of different boards that you showed helped improve?
So for the boards which I mentioned, I mean that those really help, because we could make the board the way we want. So for example, I showed you the definition of ready board. So we created based on our needs. So that's what I was talking about. Like instead of thinking that what tool we are using, and define your process around that, you need to be very clear what your needs are, and then basically see what particular, what is the simplest way to do it, and that's what we did as part of that. So based on the needs which were coming as part of this retrospective, we tried to experiment them on the board, and because they were visible to everybody, that really helped to change the environment in the team.
So what kind of changes with the environment did you notice?
So in terms of the environment, because so for example, like if you're having the retrospective notes, there are actions. Many times it happens that even till the next retrospective, many people don't do anything on those actions. So if those are visible in front of everybody, and you're talking about them as part of the stand-up, then you resolve those issues. Uh, so so basically, information radiators shows transparently where you are, and it is up to you, up to the team, to take actions on them or not. Okay. Does that answer your question?
Yeah.
Okay. Hi, ShriKant, this is Vatsalya. I have a question here.
Yeah.
For all the hacks that you showed, are these part of some standard process that have been defined in the Agile manifesto or some other source, or these are just like all the heads, all the teams get together and they come up with a format of capturing something which they think would be vital and they can probably track it out?
So whatever I showed you, certain things may be part of the Scrum framework or Kanban. So Kanban is basically showing the cards visually. But as far as other hacks are concerned, those were based on the needs, and based on those needs, people tried to invent their own things and came up with those hacks. And for those situations, they were helpful. Why I'm showing here to everybody here is because based on these hacks, you can get inspired and may try to experiment in your workplace as well if there are certain needs which you want to basically satisfy with these hacks or want to invent some more hacks.
Okay, all right, thanks.
So we can use multiple boards, right?
So yeah, it's up to you. How I mean, you may be having a lot of wall space depending on the space you have. You can use whatever you want. So it's up to you. Like the board, Scrum board will be one for the team, but as far as other things are concerned, you can put anything on the wall.
So are you using, I mean, on physical boards as well as on electronic copy also you are creating for this thing?
So generally, what I have observed is that even though I try to inspire or ask people to use physical boards, but people, doing two things at the same time doesn't really work for the distributed teams. So what I've seen is that the teams which are working in the collocated way, they can definitely use the physical walls. And why I'm showing it here is because our culture, at least in India, is using the electronic tools. With this, you at least you get a chance to look at like how the physical wall can be used, and it is really effective. Other thing which I want to mention here is that sometimes the stationery which is being used on the physical wall may not be available because of lack of interest from the organizations here. So what I have done is I created a hack in which you can basically print the cards from Excel sheet, and basically you can use those cards on the wall. So that hack is available on YouTube, which you want to see.
Okay.
So if you are working in a co-located team, I definitely recommend that you should use the physical cardboards.
I think we have some chats on group.
Sure. Just a minute. So there are certain questions on the chat. One is, how do we operate for a virtual environment when the team is diversified? So that's where I mentioned that in case you are using a virtual environment, then it may be difficult to use physical walls. Some teams I have seen that they use both because of the advantages they get from physical walls. but mostly people go towards the electronic tools. Second one is we do have lots of visual Cisco screen acting as live physical boards to have the same feeling. So what I've seen is that even though you can use the monitors or TV screens for to have those feeling that feeling, but the problem is that sometimes or most of the times you will be having a scroll bar uh, in those boards, and with that you will not be able to see the entire scrum board in those monitors. So you will have the glimpse what is going on, but you will not be able to capture entirely like what is happening. So the scroll bar comes into picture and you don't see the entire board. So any links or pointers? So most of the hacks which I mentioned are available on a website called agileboardhacks.com. I have been following this website from 2012 onwards. And some of the hacks which I mentioned are mine. I took those pictures and basically discussed with you. So this video will be available on the YouTube. So in case you want to refer back all these hacks, they will be definitely available. So so another one is, could whoever made those red lines find a way to delete them? So yeah, actually I had no clue what really happened, and it was a very distracting actually. And as far as the sharing the presentation is concerned, yeah, I will share that presentation. And definitely, as I mentioned, because this is available on the YouTube, so you can refer back at any point of time. So with that, thank you very much for joining this one. Thanks a lot.
Thank you, ShriKant.
Thanks a lot. Thank you, guys. Yeah.
Thank you, everyone.
Thanks.